Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Sonnet, co-founder of 2Indie, and I am here with Cinder Shine today to talk about getting your song signed, getting placements with signing your songs to sync agencies. And Cinder Shine is one of the most incredible human beings I know. If you do not know her, you probably do. She's chatting in the Facebook group. She's co-writing with just about every person in here. She has an incredible record that is coming out this year. She's dropping singles all the time. So make sure you check out Cindershine and her songs. But behind the scenes, she's also licensing her songs to different placements and has her songs signed. Pretty much every song that she's written signed with different agencies. And so I wanted to bring her on today to talk about how she has all of her songs signed, what really has gone into that process, and what comes from those relationships. So welcome. Thanks for joining us, Cinder.
Thanks, Sonnet. Thanks for having me here. I'm just going to jump right in. And the most important thing about getting your songs signed is having a good song that ticks off the boxes that make it appealing in the licensing world. So it needs to be a good, authentic song that people will listen to when they press play. They don't want to stop. You don't want to lose them. So you got to have the right song, and then it's got to be produced and radio ready. So without those things, that's it. You've got to have that is the foundation. Mm-hmm. And all the songs in my catalog, and I don't even know, I'm not the best record keeper around. But I try to put things on lists, but I don't count necessarily. But I probably have maybe 40 or 50, somewhere around there, songs that live with certain agencies. And those agencies pitch the songs, and I have complete faith in the agencies that I'm working with. Like, I just feel like when a song gets signed to an agency, it's like the horse coming out of the starting gate. And then it's in the race, and eventually it comes over the finish line and gets a placement. But my job is to maintain the relationship with the agencies and keep creating music that I am proud to pitch. And that's it. Once you know what makes a song pitchable, you got to know that your song, and you're proud to pitch it, and then you pitch it. One of the most important things about building relationships with agencies, they're humans. They're human beings. They love music, and you want to be part of a team and part of helping them do their job. And John and Sonnet have long taught that to be helpful. How can I be helpful? Not how can you help me? Mm-hmm. Not will you listen to my song? How can I help you? How can I be part of this? And just as an aside, my most funnest way to think about songs getting placements, because that's the thing, they're in the race. You want them to cross the finish line. You want everybody to get a paycheck. And when I think about my collaborators, and I'm in my 60s, I don't have a family. But my collaborators do. They have people depending on them, and my agency partners as well. They're family people and they're musicians. And I just think about every placement that we get paid for helps support their families. And I just makes me just feel like I'm part of a family. Mm. And that's the way I look at it.
I love that. And it's true. It really humanizes us quickly when we think about all the ways that it affects all of us and how we're really all a piece of the puzzle. How would you say you've gone about creating these relationships?
So I fumbled around enough in the beginning. I started learning about this January 2020. And I made songs. I started learning how to write songs that might be, and how to get with producers. There was a lot into it. And and I feel like I got lucky. I had opportunities to pitch in places, and songs started to get picked up. And then I started to learn about particular agencies. And at first I felt very like, like, and don't get me wrong, it is an honor to be chosen by an agency, to have your songs with an agent. And they are still human. You can still reach out and just say, hey, thank you. Or, one of the songs you have, I'm releasing on such and such a day. And so in the beginning, I fumbled around, but I got my songs with some agencies. And now I know to build relationships with those agencies. I follow them on social media. I support events if they're doing events. And I make myself part of their family, so to speak. And I'm not spreading myself very thin. I have maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 agencies that I'm working with right now. And they all know my name. They know, who I am and my music. I'm not just I'm not just a number in a catalog.
That's a big deal, and I think finding ways to really show up, it can feel overwhelming when you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many agencies and I send out these emails and nobody ever writes me back and I'm trying to get in the door. And like, you make it sound pretty easy, but really it's the first step is creating that amazing music. And the second step is just step by step, you start to make these relationships. You show up at the events. You are part of Licensing Basecamp, where we bring in a licensing agency every month. You come to the Get Repped conference and meet like 40 of them. Like there's just so many ways to really take responsibility for your career and figure out how you can become a partner with 6 or 7 agencies. That's crazy. That's huge. That's a lot. You have a lot of people that are rooting for you, that have your music, that are, you think about, they each get different briefs every day. So your songs are being pitched by 6 or 7 different agencies, a weekly, monthly, whatever those briefs are that work. That's like, it is a numbers game. It's a relationship game. It's a human game. And side note for creating songs, anybody who's watching, our boot camp, which is free, you can go and check it out. It goes through some really like, what are the basic things, the 101 that you need to know about, that Cinder's talking about here, that is really important when it's just like, okay, you're not hearing back from the agencies. Well, where is your music at? Like, get some feedback on those songs, figure out if you're hitting the markers that are really needed to tell other people's stories through media. There's so many ways to do that. But the boot camp goes through some of those like lists some of those things. If you're looking for like, what does she mean? It needs to be like ready.
Well, and Sonnet, I've always had, so I've been in this business for about 3 years, and I've had.
That's no time at all.
I know.
It happened in 3 years.
I have 6 or 7 placements. I have a movie. I've got some shit going on. And, but I've always had a mentor, and it started with the course that John and you used. I think you were having babies, the course I took with John. But so I've always had a mentor in whatever I'm doing. And I've always made myself, people want to be around me. So people who are a step ahead of me or 2 steps ahead of me are happy for me to collaborate with them, And so it is about, mentorship and relationships, not just with the agencies, but with who are you hanging around with? Yeah. Are you hanging around with people who are repped, and that's what makes the Basecamp community, I don't know, kind of a no-brainer.
Oh, I love that point.
You're hanging around with people in Basecamp who are like me, above me, coming up, and we all climb together in Basecamp. That is the motto. And there's a call every week. There's learning every week. And I have to say that the second week when we do the, when we pick apart what's being heard and all that, I don't do that on my own.
Right. Totally.
So I go, I force myself to go listen to that because it's important to know, what are the trends? Yeah. So for me, Basecamp is a no-brainer. And for $29 a month, you can get great mentorship. And then the boot camp, which is free. Okay. One is a Boot camp is the learning, 90 minutes of learning, and hop into base camp and you start to, because if you're in a bubble or if you're dealing with people who are not knowing in the licensing world, you're not going to get there. You got to have people who are in licensing to help you move your music towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it all comes back down to this community aspect. And like especially in the music industry, you feel so alone. You really, you can create music in your basement all by yourself. And we have there's the gatekeepers and then there's us, the music makers. And we're trying to get into, and when we realize like we are the music industry together here right now, like this is, you have some amazing licenses and it's just, it doesn't matter if you're getting licenses or you're creating amazing music, you're releasing amazing music, you're collaborating with people, you're sharing your heart, you're saying what needs to be said. And that is community and it is here for you. And I feel so honored that I get to be a part of this community with all these incredible people. So thanks for bringing that point, forward. That is one of the biggest things. We are not alone in this life. And as music makers, it's a gift to be able to do it together and to realize that. And it really helps move the needle when you're not all by yourself.
I love what you said. We are the music industry. We are.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Cinder, thank you for sharing this moment with us. You guys know how to find Cinder. She is here in the Facebook group. If you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else, come on into our Sync It Facebook group. Find Cinder there. Come and join us on Basecamp. Watch the boot camp. It's free. Everything you need to know about sync, getting your music into TV, film, and commercials. And yeah, I'm so grateful you are part of my life.
Me too, Sonnet. And just because you forgot to mention all that stuff, go to 2indie.com, the number 2indie.com, and that's where you'll find Basecamp and Bootcamp and everything else that we're doing.
Thank you for remembering that part. I love it.
Takes a village.
All right, guys, it does. It takes a village. Ciao.